Hello, my name is Dom Linick. I'm with Sharon Ramstad, my mother-in-law, and maybe you've just seen the ACN opportunity, or maybe you know somebody that's a part of ACN, and you've seen them take advantage of a lot of various benefits ACN's got to offer. You know, one of those benefits is tax advantages, and I've got Sharon here because she's going to shed some light on that subject. And I guess a good place to start is actually what attracted you to the accounting industry. So let's start there.
Okay, thank you, Dom. And really, I am so excited to be here tonight to share this information with you because it totally changed my life. So it really started 47 years ago, and it all started with a shoebox. So when Tim and I were first married, Tim and his dad had a family business, and it was at the end of the year, and they said, Sharon, can you please take all of our receipts into our bookkeeper accountant? And they literally gave me a shoebox with all these receipts shoved into it. I was so embarrassed and said that will never happen again. So I took a bookkeeping course, started to track our business with a general ledger. There was no computer programs at that time, and we just did it by hand. That accounting or bookkeeping led to me getting an accounting diploma because I could still add some more of the tax things with our business, which led to an accounting degree. And at that point, then besides doing all the accounting for our business, I worked in the manufacturing industry. So being in that industry led me to a CMA, which eventually merged to CPA. And when I was doing that manufacturing position, my position moved to Calgary. I wasn't moving to Calgary, loved my life where we were. And so just for fun, I taught one summer course at MacEwan, which lasted a decade. And it was during that time that I earned an MBA. So very grateful for that shoebox.
So what's good about Sharon's experience is she doesn't just understand the theory of accounting. A lot of people know accounting theory. She doesn't only understand how to teach it, spent over a decade teaching it, but you've also applied it practically to your own businesses.
Yes, absolutely. So we have three businesses. So our Ramstad trucking business that we've had for over 46 years, that's an incorporated business, so applied. And that's where I started in the whole accounting industry, applied it there. Now I'm applying our knowledge to our ACN businesses. So we have two positions. So our main position is a corporation, Ramstad Holdings, Inc. And our second position, we run as a sole proprietor, and it's TS Ramstad. And so I've been able to apply everything that I've learned along the way.
So a lot of people have an employment income in Canada. It's all they've ever known. I talk about my background all the time, but, nobody in my family's ever had a traditional business. I've never been a traditional business owner. But, your family's completely different. Marrying Jordana, you guys growing up as a family, you guys have had a business for a long time. And, I felt as an employee, basically, when it comes to tax season, there's literally no benefits. And it seems like, I know when I was in the oil field and in construction, the more money I made, the worse I got taxed. I literally remember one time declining overtime hours because I knew that if I took those overtime hours, I was actually going to make less money than if I never worked the overtime hours altogether. And it was just so frustrating to me. So, I'd love for you to shed a little bit of light on that.
Okay, so Tim and I, when we have our trucking company, and that's where I learned my accounting skills and learned that industry. And so I always seen the benefits of how we're able to have expenses because we ran our business out of our home. So seeing the benefit of that, and we've been able to keep, to manage our taxes that we paid. Then when I went out to work and I was working in the manufacturing industry, the more I earned, the more taxes I paid. Every time I would hit another level, I would be paid more taxes. Then I transitioned to the education, working at MacEwan, had a major pay raise, but really didn't bring home any more money. I just got to pay more taxes.
Okay, so obviously having an employment income at tax time, only an employment income at tax time, doesn't put you in a good position. So let's start at the ground floor with ACN and define exactly what kind of business ACN is.
Okay, so when you start your ACN business, you're going to enroll online. you have a choice to sign up either as an individual, so you'd run your business as a sole proprietor, or you could sign your business, your ACN business up as a business. You would need a business ID number, etc. So what Tim and I did is our main position, we signed up at first as an individual. Then we did all the paperwork to incorporate that business under Ramstad Holdings. Our second position, TS Ramstad, we signed up, we're keeping it as a sole proprietor because that helps us to do with our personal income tax, and we're able to manage that.
So most people are going to have some sort of employment income. They're going to join ACN. They're going to sign up as a sole proprietor. So how does a sole proprietor and an employment income work together?
Okay, so first of all, let's define what a sole proprietor is. So a sole proprietor is the most basic business structure. And so all of your business income and your business expenses, you would put on your T1 personal tax return. One person owns the business, makes all the decision, keeps all the profits, and assumes all the risk for the business. A corporation, unlike a sole proprietorship, is its own legal entity, and in most cases provides the owner protection from liability, and it also carries the advantage of lower tax rates.
So, listen, I'm a little thick-headed. I didn't do that good in school. I'm definitely a visual learner. So one of the things I asked Sharon to do was kind of put together a breakdown, a visual breakdown, a general example that'll show you guys a little bit better of what she was discussing. So I'll let you walk everybody through this,
Okay,
Sharon.
so this is just an example so we can highlight some of the differences. So when you have your ACN business, the goal is to make money and over time to increase your residual income. So that means that, as you get additional income, you might want to incorporate to do some tax strategy. But the one thing that when you first get started, somebody says, well, is it worth it? What if I don't make any money? Yes, it is worth it. And I'm going to show you what I mean in this example. So in this example, you're an employee. You only have employment income. Your taxable income is $80,000. So based on $80,000, your federal taxes on the first $49,000, you're going to pay 15%. So on that $80,000, you would pay $7,353. On the next 49, you're going to pay 20.5%. So that's $6,351. So if you add up your total taxes, your total federal taxes is $13,704. So on that employment income of $80,000, your federal taxes would be $13,704. Now, provincially, you get to pay taxes too. So on your first $131,000, you get to pay 10%. So now on that $80,000 of employee income, you are paying $8,000. Okay, so that's what you paid, and you would pay that, weekly, monthly, biweekly. Okay, so you're that same employee, but now you have an ACN business. And, we talked about, it was so incredible with all the bonuses that what was happening this month. But let's say you're just a real slow starter, and in your first year, you only made $1,000 in ACN revenue. But because of all the expenses and that you would do from home, and we'll go over some of them, you had $5,000 worth of expenses. So you're going to take your taxable income is $80,000. You're going to add that business income and deduct your business expenses. So now you can see your taxable income went from $80,000 down to $76,000. So how does that translate into taxes? So again, the first $49,000, you're going to pay that 15%, so $7,353. And then on the next amount, you're going to pay 20.5%. So now you are paying $5,531. So your total federal taxes with employee income plus your business income and expenses is $12,884. So you actually paid $13,704, but really you only owe the government $12,884. So you overpaid your taxes of $820. What happens to that? It comes back to you as a refund. Let's look at provincially. You paid $8,000. Or on that 80,000, but now your taxable income is reduced. Now you're only paying 7,600. So you overpaid your taxes by 400. So if you add the 820 plus 400, that's 1,220 that you overpaid. So now you're going to get a tax refund.
Like you said in that example, Sharon, the business income of $1,000, I think is pretty funny, with all the bonuses that we have going on in ACN, as we're recording this, we've got a Zoom Energy bonus where when you switch over 4 energy bills and you provide value to those consumers, that you get a $200 bonus for that for just 2 households, 4 bills. So, $1,000 annually, less than $100 a month is almost laughable. I think you really have to be trying hard to not make money in ACN to do that. So from a numbers and basically a tax standpoint, there's basically no downside financially to joining ACN when you take advantage of these benefits. Now, things like your cell phone, internet are very obvious business expenses, but what are some other examples of allowable business expenses?
Okay, and I really want to stress this. The CRA does a really good job on the CRA website of outlining exactly what business expenses are allowable. What I find is that people are so afraid of the CRA. Don't be afraid of the CRA. They set it up so that we as business owners can have an advantage. Is that they're not taking the allowable expenses that they are allowed. Now, what you need to do is make sure that you have copies, so whether digitally or paper, or in our household, we like to have both, but just make sure that you can back up every expense that you are going to put through your T1 tax return. So some examples are the business startup fees and the renewals, the monthly business support fee. These are allowable business expense. Supplies for your home office, you're allowed 2 business conventions per year. Even when we do these online trainings with corporate, and that fee is an allowable business expense. Legal fees, accounting fees, meals. Make sure with your meals, if you're going out, like we're going out to watch the hockey game and we're going to talk about our ACN business, write the name of the person on the bill that you talked about your ACN business with. Home office supplies, furnitures, equipment, travel, business use of your residence, vehicle expenses. These are all allowable expenses. Just make sure that you have the backup, and don't be afraid. Get educated so that you can take advantage, because if you're overpaying taxes, we want that to come back to your household.
Now, that's a good habit. And like any habit, any good habit in your life, takes time to develop. It's not easy in the beginning. I remember when I first started collecting receipts, I made a few mistakes here and there, and you get better as you go on. And just like, again, any good habit, it benefits you long-term in your life. So making sure that you're collecting all your receipts, that you're documenting them properly is going to really benefit you in a major way. Now, what happens when your ACN business starts to make you a healthy, consistent annual income?
Good question, Dom. So when your ACN business, when you get to the point where your residual income and your bonus income becomes substantial, you need to sit down with a tax accountant to see if this is at the point that it makes sense to incorporate your business. Now, some of the primary tax advantages of incorporating your business is limited liability, lower tax rates, income tax deferral, income splitting. But really what you need to do is, once you get to that point where your annual income is substantial, sit down with a tax accountant and make a plan.
So again, the purpose of this video is to give someone who doesn't have any experience in business ownership the basic knowledge that adding an ACN business to your employment income is far better than only having an employment income. Sharon, I want to give you the kind of the last word here and talk a little bit again about using a professional and making sure that you're using one.
So again, there are so many allowable expenses when you have a home-based business like ACN. The CRA website has a wealth of information. So if you have any questions, make sure you go there. Once you get to the point where you are making substantial income, you need to sit down with a tax accountant, and they're going to go over your specific, because every family, every business is specific to them, and they're going to guide you on, is this the right time to incorporate your business and why you would want to.
So, there's a lot of benefits to ACN, like we'd mentioned. Tax benefits is only one of them. If you're seeing this information because someone you know shared it with you, they're probably a part of ACN. You probably have seen the ACN opportunity. And, what's great about ACN is, not only tax benefits, but things like getting some of your services for free and even the ability to make some extra income for your household with a little bit of elbow grease every month is just scratching the surface of what's possible with ACN. So I'd really encourage you to have a conversation with the person that invited you to take a look at this information and look at this video and talk to them about being a part of the team and being a part of ACN, not only taking advantage of the tax benefits, but also everything else to go along with it. So thanks for looking at the video.